Okay, so be honest with me. How many times have y'all been playing Valorant and you've just had a very bad day on the game? You're losing 1v1s, you're going 5 and 15, you feel like you're absolutely throwing in your rank games, and you are providing nothing to the team. Cause I'm gonna be real, I know damn well it's happened to everybody in here. Nobody's dropping 20 bombs every game. Everybody has, those horrible games where they're like, damn, like, is it my sensitivity? What do I need to change? Now, I'll tell you what, that is the worst thing you can do. Never change your sensitivity just because you are having a bad aim day. It is not going to make you a better player. And yes, maybe it might improve, your aim for the rest of the day by just a little bit. But what it's going to do is it's not going to make you better because you keep changing your sensitivity and you're not getting used to anything. But even if you are that person, don't worry too much, because in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a very good idea of what you should be using sensitivity wise. Obviously, it looks a little bit different for everyone, but there is, a general range that is going to get you the best results. And then I'm also going to show you guys the rest of my settings in Valorant, because beyond sensitivity, there are a few things that can make or break your games that a lot of people just don't even pay attention to. So I'm just going to start from the top with the map settings. If you guys only want, the sensitivity, I'll put a timestamp on the screen real quick. But as for map settings, really, these don't matter that much. I know people like to make a big deal out of them, but really, you just want to make sure the minimap is zoomed out enough so you can, it should look something like this. Obviously, you can have it a little bit bigger, but you want to be able to see most of the map, and the default settings don't really allow you to do that. Basically, if I was on the default settings, I'll just throw them on real quick so you guys can see. They're really just, not that great. It zooms you in so goddamn much. And notice how I can't even see like this courtyard anymore. If somebody's shooting, I won't be able to see that on my map. I'll just see like a question mark on the edge of it, which is not good. You really don't want your map to be looking like that, whatsoever. Oh yeah, and also make sure you have minimap vision cones turned on. I don't even know why that's a setting that you would ever want to turn off, or why that's even an option. But if you have it off, you're not going to be able to see what angles your teammates are watching. So yeah, make sure that's on, because that would be really bad if that's not. As for the rest of these settings in the general tab, they don't really matter outside of, maybe show corpses. You can turn this off if they're distracting, and you can also change your enemy highlight color. I would recommend putting it on yellow, either Deuteranopia or Protanopia. Those are just the best in my opinion, because purple and red are just like, they're a little bit harder to see and your brain's not going to react as fast. So, it's just something minor, but it does make a difference. Now, as for button layout, I am just using the traditional because, it works the best for me. But if you want to change anything, you guys can always just go to buttons and then change your abilities around. I will say this, though. Anybody claiming that there is a definitive best button layout is just trolling, because that's not a thing. Just use whatever you guys are comfortable with, and don't feel too bad about it. Moving on to the biggest part of this video, though, we have the aim settings. So for base horizontal, I am using 10. Base vertical, I am using 10, and then focus 7, ADS 7, and then sniper on 7. Now, even bigger than those, though, right here, aim inner dead zone. This setting will undoubtedly make or break your aim. If you have your dead zone on something like 1, anything higher than that, pack it up. You're done. All I'm saying is you're done. Get a new controller if that's what you need to use, because you want to be having something like 0.05, maybe even lower if you can bear that. My controller, it has a little bit of drift once I go under that. But if you can run something like 0.05, I mean this when I say this, absolutely run it. It's going to make all of those micro adjustments so much easier to make. And if I put, I'll just show you guys real quick. If I put my sensitivity on 0.1, right, I'm going to grab a Vandal. I can still hit shots, but it's like, it feels so much more sluggish. Like, the inner range of motion is just a lot less. You don't want to be having too much dead zone. And really the same thing goes for aim outer dead zone. I wouldn't have this at anything other than either 1 or 0.99, because what this setting does is it actually changes, how fast your setting goes based on how much you move your stick. So if I'm at max stick inputs at 1, that's going to be, my max sensitivity, right? But if I lower this to, let's say 0.8, I only have to, move my stick 80% of the way there, and then at my max sensitivity, if you guys know what I'm saying. So you really don't want that, because let's say you're turning from a flash, you're already putting your stick at max input anyway, And in an actual gunfight, you're never putting your stick at max input, so you don't want to have that at anything else. As for the base aim curve, this is arguably the most important setting in the entire game. There are 3 main ones I would really recommend, and then the rest I would avoid. Aggressive, avoid that shit, it's not good. Delayed, horrible, don't use that. Smooth is actually interesting. I haven't used smooth, but I've heard good things about it, so I'm not going to say avoid it, but I can't vouch for it either. Standard is very good for people running, you know, a mid to low sensitivity, something like 7 or 8. That is when I would use standard. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely a usable curve. Linear is something I would absolutely avoid, you know, unless you're running very low sense. It's just not going to be practical at all. And what do we say about low sense? How the hell are you going to dodge a flash when you're turning, you know, at the speed of molasses? It's just not happening. Light is something I would not personally use for base aim curve, but it is very good for focus, ADS, and sniper. Then medium, not a curve I would use. Heavy is also very, very good. A top 2 response curve in my opinion. And then finally, extreme. In my opinion, without a doubt, this is the best base aim curve in the game because you can run, you know, a little bit higher sensitivity, something like 10 or even higher. That's going to allow you to have very precise aim and also, you know, be able to dodge flash or any other utility that you need to dodge. For the movement settings, these are pretty much all just preference. The one thing I will say is just make sure your movement dead zone is not, you know, too low, because if you have any stick drift, you're going to be missing a lot of shots, because as y'all know, if you're moving in Valorant, you're not hitting shit. So make sure this movement dead zone is low, but not too low, because you really do not want to be drifting under any circumstance. Now finally, for advanced settings, I'm really looking at 3 main things here. For one, left-right trigger dead zone. This should be at 0.01 for absolutely everybody, especially for pistol rounds. If you guys like to use something like the Ghost, this is going to help you spam it a lot easier, you know, let's say close range. I don't want to promote spamming with your guns because you should be a little bit more precise, but obviously if somebody pushes up and you need to, having this at 0.01 is going to feel a lot better than if you had it at something like 0.4, because a lot of the time if you have this too high, it's just going to feel like your gun is not very responsive and it's just not shooting, right? Then the other 2 settings that you guys need, and I mean you need to have these off because they are horrible, and I mean horrible, horrible, horrible. Do not have these on. Walk while in focus. Y'all have probably heard it a million times by now. This setting is absolutely horrible, and it honestly could be holding you back by like 3 ranks. It sucks. It is horrible. Do not use this setting under any circumstance. And then also dampen shooting sensitivity. Please, for the love of God, do not use this. And I know you might be thinking, what's so bad about dampening the shooting sensitivity? Because all it does is reduces the aim sensitivity while you're firing. And you know, you would think that would be good because when you're on a target, wouldn't you want it to slow down? Not exactly, because let's say I'm on Sheriff right here and I want to hit this guy and then flick to the next guy, right? Obviously I missed right there because I'm ass, but you know, like right there, that is going to be exponentially harder to do, you know, if I have that setting on. So in my opinion, it is just horrible and you never want to use something like that. Anyways though, boys, that is pretty much going to be everything that I have for today's video. I hope it ends up helping you guys a lot, and for the rest of this one, I just have some, you know, ranked and TDM clips I threw at the end, so hopefully you guys enjoy those, and I definitely plan on posting more Valorant content in the future, and I have been streaming on Twitch a little bit, so if you guys want to pop in there, I'll definitely leave the link down below. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one.
Reloading. 3. Still in sight. 4. Ground. Take hold. Reloading. Stay down. 3. Reloading. 4.
Reloaded. 10 seconds.
I'll find you. Mark.
1 enemy remaining.
4 down.
My ult is ready.
Bring it down.